shit, it took him over a decade to realize I'm actually clairvoyant. So even though he sees stuff happening every time, but I'm married to him and it took him 10 years, but now he does. But it's, even then, the stuff I talk about sometimes with you and about the world, like even as recently as 5 years ago, there are certain things. Like he'll even say, like I've heard him use the terms doom and gloom in reference to me, and I get it. You know what I mean? I get it, cause it does. Cause at the end of the day, it ain't but a handful of woke people. This what been aggravating me lately is that I'll say something about something, and he'll be like, well, they're doing the best they can, whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, the fuck you mean they doing the best they can? They doing exactly what they had planned the fuck to do. But okay, whatever you say. But then a couple of weeks later, he'll be like, did you hear about such and such and such? And I'm just looking at him, and in my mind, I'm participating because I let him get stuff off his chest. You know, he works hard. But get off your chest. But bitch, if I'm not like, now if I say that shit to you, I get accused of doom and motherfucking gloom and the negative and everything ain't about race all the time, and I get that shit. But you can come and present it, and it's okay. Like, what am I supposed to say? Because, sometimes I fuck with them. You know what this shady shit is. I know you done did this shit before. Sometimes I fuck with them, and I'll say, well, maybe there was some situations and they're doing the best they can. They can only do so much. Yeah. Maybe, they can only do so much. Because all white people, ain't that bad. They doing the best they can do under their circumstances, too. He'll get mad, like, bitch! When I say it, it's like bringing, and I get it though, because you don't want to hear it. You can't, your emotion, your spirit get exhausted with that bullshit. You got to bury your head in the sand sometimes. But I'm looking like, how do you come to me 2 weeks later and tell me the exact same shit that I told you that you told me I was doing too much about? How does that work? But I get it. You don't want to deal with it because it's easier for you not to. Because if you deal with it, you have to accept that we're in a world that is trying to kill us, and eventually they're going to succeed. And that's a hard... Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just enjoy your last whatever? So I get it. I get both sides. But don't be acting like I'm like ridiculous when I say the stuff that's obvious. Come on. You know how I used to say, people be saying ridiculous stuff or complicit shit, and I'd be like, really? Wow. I don't try to change nobody, So my new thing, like in responses, are people that try to show up to not all a troll a post that I might, which I don't get very much because they're not comfortable around in my page. But anyway, when I get them, and they feel like they gotta come and say something to my comment because they can't handle it, it's too much. So I just respond and I be like, well, it's a good thing that I didn't post this to change your mind.
Yes, indeed.
It's a good thing I didn't have you in mind when I posted this, because it really wasn't my mission to change your mind about that. And you're perfectly entitled to believe that. I have absolutely no problem with you believing it. Good luck.
Right.
Good luck surviving. Good luck. I'm laughing sometimes because I know I got me a colonizer troll on Instagram. But all my people, we just act like we don't know what the fuck because they need attention, right? Like one of the first things they said was a while back. I posted when the shutdowns first started happening. I was like, shout out to RIP to all those people who will be unable to bury their loved ones. And that motherfucker said, people can still bury their loved ones. They just have to do it 10 at a time. And I'm sitting there looking like, is that motherfucker listening to the... I was like, are they listening to themselves? Because you basically co-signed what the fuck the post was about. Like you just co-sign. And so that was my first thought. And I was like, my smartest thing is to say the least words possible to each person. And so I was just like, I was like, okay, my bad. You know what I'm supposed to say? Right after that, bitch. I be seeing stuff. Right after that came the regulatory that only 10 people could be together at one officially, like by law. And then everybody started posting about how they had people dying. They had to die alone because it couldn't even go into the hospital room and all that stuff. And so I thought about that person a couple of times, and I was like, I wonder what that person is thinking about. Are they even thinking at all? Which I know they're not, but are they thinking at all? Well, she was right. It's a lot of people that have to die alone, and don't get to have a funeral and don't get to say their goodbyes right now. I just wonder if those people later, do they even come back and remember the person that said, you know what I mean? Or I might post something and then that person showed up. So I posted something about the COVID a couple of weeks ago. I try not to actually spell it. I be evading algorithms. But he said, he showed up and he said, it's a hoax. And I was like, okay, that's great. It's a solid stone cold hoax, man. So and matter of fact, I think you should fight for your rights to go out without a mask publicly and repeat. Matter of fact, I think you should prove your point by going to visit the COVID Florida hospitals. Go do that. I'm like, okay. And I know it's a white person too. That's the thing. So I'm like, it's cute though. I ain't gonna block them. I'm gonna let them keep doing that because I love when they show themselves to, to the people that around me, because we all see through that bullshit. And we just be like, word. I have a black woman, bitch, who don't realize how a veteran. I actually have a lot of veterans follow me. I don't. Maybe it's a cannabis for PTSD attraction or something.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of veterans, male and female, following me. And I embrace them. I actually really love it. But again, some of them are asleep. And this particular one, this is an older black woman. The first thing she ever said to me was, because I was talking about how you can tell who people are with or without not the mask. What do they wear? The Klan. I always forget it. Anyway, that. It's not a hoodie. What is it? Anyway, I said whether or not they wearing that, whatever. And she said, well, I'd rather they wear that so I'll know who I'm dealing with. And so I read back in my chair and read that a few times, and I was like, either she's married to a white person or she's the white person, she's a white person's black friend that they use with other people to justify why they can use the N-word and say other racist shit. She's some kind of blind to the serious racism in this world, and she would like for me to believe that she's not. To the point where she telling me about who she marched with in '68, Martin and Jesse Jackson and all them people, whatever, Sharpton and all them, whatever. So, but anyway, she said she'd rather they wear it so she would know what she's dealing with. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, oh, well, I said, but I was still very respectful, obviously, because I'm conscious that she's a veteran. And I said, oh, well, I was like, I'm a lot different. I was like, I was like, they don't really need to have the uniform on for me to be able to see. So I was like, I just think, I did a lot of my things where I just think differently in that way, right? And there was another comment where I was basically saying, my frustration with somebody asking me something, and when I answer, they'll be like, no, such and such and such and such and such, and I'll be like, okay. And then they think I'm being, again, sarcasm or condescending. It's neither. It's I'm gonna let you believe what you asked me. When I answered, you refuted my answer, and so I'm okay with that. That's where that ends. Like, what is my job? To force you to think like I think? That's not gonna happen. Not in this short life right here that we got left in this COVID existence. But okay. The post was about when somebody asked me something, like, don't ask me nothing if you don't want the truth. But even coming from me, if you ask me something and, want to do additional research to make sure, from your understanding that that's what's the truth, do that. You question everything for real, but basically was the moral of the story. But she came back and her understanding was different, because I don't know what's going on with this lady's mind, but I'm convinced that my initial assessment is accurate at this point. She's like, yeah, I don't like that. If you ask me something and don't listen to my answer, then don't ask me at all. Not don't listen to my answer. That's not what she said. She said, if you ask me something and then turn around and do research to find, or ask somebody else, that's what she said, turn around and ask somebody else, then whatever. I said what I said, whatever. And I reared back in my seat, and I read that a few times. So all of my comments to her start out, well, I think extremely differently from, I always start out like that because I don't want her to think that I think that we are the same. And so I said, well, that's not at all what I was saying. In fact, if someone asks me something and they have questions about it, I encourage them to do whatever due diligence they need to do, whether it's asking other people or doing actual research. Google, which is now limited, it's officially policed now, the information we get. But anyway, do all your research. I have no problem with that. I was like, because that's the whole end result is for people to find out what the answers that are truest and best for them. And so I was like, so no. And she came back and doubled down. She's like, well, if they don't listen to what I want, then I was like, oh, see, yeah, she got me all fucked up. She wants to chime in on my post, but then she really is so mentally colonized that she can't. She don't have the capacity to really do it, because she'll take it and interpret it a whole different way to make it fit her thinking, and I don't think like her at all, because she is an apologist at this point, officially, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not about that life. So I still think, low-key, she married to a white person, but I'm gonna chill because I don't know that to be a fact. But yeah, I mean, people are so easy to read, and I get it that people do need to be coerced into consciousness because how deep cognitive dissonance rides. It rides deep, but there's no more time. You know what I mean? I don't have time to change your mind. I can present something to you. Hopefully you'll see what I present. You know, I'll give you this information. Hopefully you'll be able to put it together, make the best decisions for yourself. But if you can't, I don't have time to invest. You ain't no more time. Ain't no more time.
Right.
What I got coming.
Right.
I'm happy for you. Yeah, your spirit seemed inhibited the last few times I talked to you. You seem happy, but just inhibited, preoccupied about dealing with.
I was